Guardiola loses 4 games in a row for the first time in his illustrious career, this time falling 2-1 to Brighton and Hove Albion. How surprised were you when you saw this come up on the old ticker?
Well, I mean, Brighton's a good football team, a good soccer team, right? So that part, it's not shocking that Brighton could beat City. I think what they've got going on in Brighton is extremely fun, and it makes me wish I'd chosen Brighton instead of Fulham, because I think the ceiling's a little higher for Brighton than it is for Fulham. But I still feel good.
Fulham's had a great week.
No. I feel good about where Fulham is right now. But that's neither here nor there. This is about Pep. So losing to Brighton, that's there's no shame in that, I don't think. But as you said, it's the fact that they've lost 4 games in a row. Now that's across all competitions. Let's be clear. It feels like it's sliding, like things are coming apart. Now, let's not forget that Pep himself has been laying the groundwork in terms of expectations during this period by consistently talking about the injury list at City, by consistently talking up the problems City has with their roster right now. And I don't know if that is a self-fulfilling prophecy, that if you go out in public, Pep Guardiola is a smart guy. He's won everything. Why would you go in public? Why would you go in front of the media? Why would you say things like, I don't know, we're really in a bad spot. We have all these injuries. It's very, very difficult right now. Why would you do that and send a message to your team that essentially is, we're not good enough to handle this in this moment? That seems odd to me. And I don't know if it indicates that things are maybe a little too much for Pep at this point. There is a constant question of whether he's coming back. The 115 charges still loom for Manchester City. There are lots of things about this that have highly pressurized the situation, where it wasn't even, it hasn't been as crazy as this in the past, even as they were winning everything or being basically judged on whether they won everything because of the money that they spent.
On their injury list, they got John Stones, Ruben Diaz, Rodri, famously, Grealish, and Oscar Bob. That was at least on the match day lineup of their injuries. There may be more, but Guardiola, you're talking about bringing that up constantly and almost laying down the groundworks for an excuse. I don't think that it doesn't happen very often. So top coaches like Guardiola and Klopp are not very good at dealing with losses. I think they're unfamiliar with that. If you see those post-game press conferences with Pep Guardiola, usually, 9 times out of 10, it's after a win, and he'll be like harsh and critique his team and all that. But it's a completely different Pep Guardiola after a loss. He's almost is strangely like more complimentary of his team and talks about how well they did and how, it's a jolly old journey when they lose. But he was like, but it was pushed farther to where he'd had to do that for the 4th time in a row. And you could tell his skin was crawling, even just standing there in front of the microphone. Like, I'm not sure, does the international window help him or not? I guess he's signed his previous extensions. Also, this is a whole nother layer of pressure. He's signed his previous contract extensions in the November window. Mm-hmm. So how does going into this time where he may be making that decision on the back of his worst ever run?
Right. Well, I think I would not blame him if he punted on signing his extension now in this window when you said he traditionally does it, because of everything going on at City, because of the charges that the club faces as they go through all of those hearings. And we won't have word until the end of the season. I don't know what Pep knows that we don't know. Right. Because if he signs the extension, that definitely sends a message that, okay, all is well, or everything has the potential to be well again, and City can be City the way that Pep Guardiola imagines them to be. If he doesn't, if he decides not to, not only will he have to answer questions about why, but the message that will be sent is, oh, it's over, right? City is not going to be the same club anymore, or he knows something. Think about how crazy everybody will go if Pep Guardiola doesn't sign an extension when he's always done that with these charges looming. What does Pep know? And now it's reasonable to just say, well, he doesn't know and he doesn't want to commit to anything because he doesn't know. But that's not how it will be read. It'll be read as doom and gloom, that the sky is falling on City. And then you throw in the 4 consecutive losses. You throw in slipping 5 points back of Liverpool, which I think it's pretty significant. I know it's early, but I think that's pretty significant at this point, Rob.
5 points gap after 11 games played in the season. And also at the same time, worth considering on all of this as well, like Guardiola's already been at City longer than any other team he's ever been with as a manager as well.
Yes.
So even without all those caveats, you just listed like 3 huge ones for that would come into the mix for any kind of decision making for someone in his position. But also, he's also breaking his traditional story arc at a team as well.
Yeah, I mean, you consider where he's been. It's not as though he's been. It's not. He hasn't had a Mourinho career, right? Where every couple of years he's moving on, things sour. He has to go somewhere else, and we've seen how that's worked out for Jose at this point, where he's stuck in Turkey, where it's dark, it's gray, and it smells bad. Those are his words. That's not Pep. I mean, obviously, it wasn't. Everything didn't go swimmingly the whole time at Bayern Munich. Like that was a more difficult period for him, relatively speaking. But he has gone from historically great club to historically great club to a club that spent money to become historically great and gave him the base to use to get them to that level. I mean, let's not forget, though, it wasn't that long ago that there was still this thing about, Pep can't win the Champions League at City. Right? That was a thing until a couple of years ago when he finally broke through. And then there was that question, okay, well, now he's completed the set at City. Does he really need to stick around there anymore? Or is it time for a new project? But you tell me what project, if we want to say it that way, makes sense for a guy who's gone from Barcelona to Bayern Munich to Manchester City. What club fits the bill? Is he going to go to PSG? Is they going to fire Enrique and give it to Guardiola when they've moved on from the Neymar period? They've moved on from the Mbappe period. I don't know what PSG's future holds, and he probably doesn't want to go coach that team. That team seems very chaotic and messy, and it's playing in Ligue 1, where league-wise you kind of don't matter. Who else? He's not going to take the United job. He's not. I mean, that's too late anyway. Amorim's in, but I'm just thinking about anybody who kind of fits this bill as that has the pedigree that would fit Pep Guardiola's past. National team somewhere I'm just going to casually do this. Maybe he does a club, Robert. Maybe he does a club, and City's like, why don't you just run our global program? Then you don't have to worry about the charges that this club faces. That kind of stuff.
You took the words right out of my mouth. It'd almost have to be an international job that's open. Not sure what would even come available, in 2025, 1 year out from the World Cup. That would be a dramatic turn of events if someone was ushered out and Guardiola in. I do like the Catalan national team, but your mention of Citigroup inventing a position where he's the global head of football affairs seems, granted, recency bias with the Klopp news, but that does seem kind of realistic. If you want to remove yourself from that daily grind, you've checked all the boxes, you've reached all your goals. If he stays in that position, what the next thing would be like to just become a complete dynasty, like, have more Champions Leagues in a row than Real Madrid. But those kind of seem like a stretch of you'd have to be an intense person to want to for that to be your goal.
I think that Pep is in a position where he's won everything. There's nothing left for him to win. There's only to add more trophies to the list he already has. That doesn't mean he necessarily doesn't feel that competitive drive. I don't know. The thing, are we getting signals from him right now amidst this difficult start to the season by City standards? Let's be clear. This is by City standards, a difficult start. Most clubs would be like, yeah, we take that start in a second. But are we seeing signals from him that that interest, that drive. Because what Klopp did was fascinating. Klopp said, yeah, I'm pretty burnt out. Like I'm pretty cooked. And I'm going to coach this season and then I'm going to leave. And Liverpool now has time to go figure out what their next steps are going to be. I will be here guiding things. I don't want to be part of that choice, but I'll still be around. I'll help ease. I will train my successor. Not exactly, but something like that for Jurgen Klopp.
A peaceful transfer of power, you might
exactly.
say.
Yeah, that's right. A peaceful transition there at Liverpool. Is Pep Guardiola going to feel that same thing at some point in the next couple of months?
We'll see. I mean, I think Guardiola and Klopp kind of burned each other out. I mean, Klopp did everything in his possible energy to bang on the wall, trying to break through and get past City. Does Guardiola not really have that, doppelganger? I don't know if doppelganger, but that nonstop challenger barking at his heels to keep him on that pursuit of the perfect team? Because I mean, Guardiola versus Klopp pretty much raised the bar in the Premier League to almost the expectation is win every single game, or the other team is going to win every other game to win the league.
Yeah.
And without that challenger nipping at your heels, is he as motivated?
That's a good question. And again, these are things internally to Pep Guardiola's brain that we just do not know. And, Arne Slot has obviously had an incredible start at Liverpool, and that's the same club that Pep Guardiola was doing battle with for the last 6-7 years on title runs. But that's not Jurgen Klopp. That's Arne Slot. That's a totally different guy. And, as much as Mikel Arteta wants to elevate himself, he's doing this heel turn. He's turning himself into this, dislikable figure for everybody but Arsenal fans. It's not there. And Arsenal doesn't have the juice. I mean, it doesn't look like Arsenal has the juice to make the push necessary to truly challenge a City or a Liverpool right now, because Liverpool's the best team in the league. So I don't know. And again, Nate's saying Barcelona president's an option. It could be. Again, that's moves him off the sideline, right? Because if you think about it again, I'm going to one more time hammer this. If you think about what Pep Guardiola's legitimate options are, if he leaves City, he's not managing Real Madrid. That's not going to happen. He's not going to go back to Bayern Munich. He is probably not going to take any other La Liga job. I'm eliminating Real Madrid because that's the biggest club in the country, the only other club that can measure up to Pep's resume, but he's definitely not managing anybody else in Spain with his ties to Barcelona. So you've eliminated that whole country, the country, the country of his origin. He's not going to manage somebody else. Do you think he's going to manage somebody else in the Premier League? And right now, is there a job that's even attractive to Pep in any way, shape, or form? Liverpool job, not going to happen. Would never have done it anyway. Not going to go manage eliminate the Premier League. So what do you have left? Italy? Is he going to go manage in Italy?
That seems like a bit of a stretch. Indeed. And like you said, the options are slim for him if he leaves. Before we wrap it up on this topic, just one more quick answer. The international window coming at this time after 4 losses. Does the break help or hurt City here?
I mean, it probably helps. All those guys carrying injuries are not going to go play for their countries. So there's a period of rest here. I mean, that just basically makes sense. If you are on a bad run, you want anything to stop that momentum, that negative momentum. And this is that for Manchester City. And, maybe Pep will get some R&R and be able to do something fun, not think about football for a little while, recharge his batteries. It could be. By the way, I really have no expectation that Pep Guardiola is going to leave City because it hasn't happened yet. So until again, don't know what's going to happen with those charges and whether they are going to be docked serious points. I mean, I think Pep is on the record. Am I wrong about this, Rob? Did he say something like, if they end up having to come back up from the lower divisions or something, I mean, like he would be the guy. I mean, I feel like we've kind of been through this whole back and forth about if City gets punished, what does Pep do? Well, Pep's a City guy, and he'll be there to help bring City back from the depths. I don't know. It's a romantic story, but I don't know.
Uri is saying Pep lost a little pep in his